Hi, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to another live stream. So, today's topic is an answer to an existential crisis. And I'm going back to the roots of this channel. When I started this channel, I was talking about religion in general. And in general, religion started as an answer to an existential crisis. Hey, Big Zebra. Okay, so what existential crisis are we talking about? Well, uh, some sometime in our evolutionary history, probably when Homo sapiens became fully human, sometime about 200,000 years ago, uh, we started knowing that people died. Now, there are hints that um, other species of human, uh, particularly Homo naledi, uh, would know that people died. Now, I say hints because we're not really sure if they were hints or not. We know that Homo naledi kind of sort of buried their dead. Um, their dead are found in caves where um, it's you can't really get there unless you're purposefully trying to get there. Uh, and that's how we know that Homo naledi purposefully buried their dead. However, that does not mean that it was part of a religious um, uh, part of a religious observance. It could be that Homo naledi, quote unquote, buried their dead just because they didn't want animals to come, um, which is a pretty good reason to bury your dead. You know, there wasn't any of the uh, like when you get into the ancient Egyptians at about 5,000 years ago, you'll start seeing that they are buried with um, like bowls or even uh, everyday utensils. Yeah, that's the Homo naledi cave, Big Zebra. That's the Homo naledi cave. Something star. I forget the entire name of it, but it was something star. Hey, Pixie. So it could be that Homo naledi just said, just just noticed that, hey, if we leave our people out, animals are gonna come, and we don't want that. So they just drop their dead in caves. There's no, like I said, there's no indication that it was like a burial, like like I was saying, the Egyptians, they buried their dead with what were called grave goods. Hey, Nevermore. Uh, Thank you very much, Rising Zebra. Yep, that's it. Rising Star Cave. They found Homo naledi in Rising Star Cave, and they actually had to get women to go in there because the men were too big. That is how friggin' small the um like it was found by two cavers, okay? But the chamber wasn't really small. The chamber where they put their dead weren't very small at all. What was small was the where you had to go into the cave, if that makes sense. So anyway, but when we get to like say uh the Egyptians 5,000 years ago, they have grave goods. The well off would have tons of grave goods like you see in the pyramids, but even the less well off people would have like a bowl, um, and they would have like utensils to um, accompany them in the afterworld. Ah, come on, big zebra. I know what you mean, but still. Um, so okay. Um, so we started noticing that people were dying, right? Sorry about that. Um, and people back then, just like now, for some reason, are afraid to die. Me, I'm not afraid to die. You know, I mean, I'm more afraid of living forever. I mean, who the fuck wants to live forever? I'd get friggin' bored living forever. There's only so much you can do. Hey, Marianne, there's only so much you can do, right? Forever is a very long time, people. I don't want to live forever. Forget that. All right. So, but anyway, getting back to the subject. Um, Sometime along the lines of us becoming fully human, that is Homo sapiens, uh, we noticed that our loved ones would die. And when we developed theory of mind, and I have a, I have a, I have a video. Excuse me. I have a video on theory of mind. It's one of my very first videos. You'll have to look. Just type in theory of mind on my channel, and it'll bring it up for you. But basically, what theory of mind states is you know, if my if this can happen to my friend, it can happen to me too. Basically, is what theory of mind says. Okay, so you're taking what happens to your friend, or what happens to your mom, or what happens to your dad, and you can then say, okay, this is going to happen to me too. And that's where religion comes in. Religion comes into the at the point where we realize we're going to die. And I mean, people didn't want to die. I I, I can totally understand that, you know, but I don't want to live forever either. Um, so that's when people started thinking of an afterlife. But we didn't start we didn't start from, okay, I'm going to die. I don't want to die. So um so we're going to make up this thing called eternal life. That's not how it happened, okay? What happened was the first quote unquote religion, and you really can't call it a religion. Let's call it a form of religion, would be animism. As far as we know, that is the first form of religion. And animism would just be the um like the wind is a spirit, and the rocks have a spirit, and the other animals have a spirit, and the grass has a spirit, and so on and so forth. So, you know, that's basically what animism is. Everything has a spirit. So that's what animism is. And then from animism you go to and animism, by the way, I have another video on this. Um it is um animism was very responsive in that, hey Kevin, um you know um I've used this before, and it seems to be a good illustration, so that's why I keep using it. Okay, so if you hear a rustle in the grass, right, it can be the wind. Sure, it could be the wind, but it could also be a tiger, right? Well, if the rustle in the grass is a tiger, you're in big trouble, unless you do something about it, you run or something, which, I mean, running isn't really going to be useful if a tiger's after you. I mean, I guess you could run up a tree, but tigers can climb, especially little tigers. Big tigers might not be able to climb all that great, but they can still climb. But anyway, um, I guess you could make yourself small and stay as still as possible. That might work. But my point is, if the rustle in the grass is a tiger, you're in trouble, you know. Whereas if the rustle in the grass is just the wind, eh, well, that's true too. Um, if it's the wind, well, okay, you might have figured it was a tiger, but if you think it's a tiger and it was just the wind, you're still okay. You're still okay because you thought it was a tiger, and doing whatever you do to try to stay out of the sight of a tiger is may or may not save your life, right? So it's better for a person to think that is a tiger in the grass making sounds in the grass instead of the wind, right? That's I mean, that's just that can keep you alive, right? But people would notice that, hey, a tiger can, like, the only thing that makes noise in grass are alive things. So that's how they came to think that, the wind was alive. Of course, we know the wind's not alive. I mean, unless you're a pagan. Um, and that's fine, to each his own, right? But well, this is true, Zebra. This is true. Zebras need to worry about lions, not tigers. So anyway, um, so that's my point. Okay. So that was probably the first true form of religion, was animism. And then came the spirits of the ancestors, or ancestor worship. And this probably came about because um there was this ancestor who was a really, really good farmer. I mean, a really like a green thumb. Like this guy could make anything grow, right? So this guy became the spirit of farming, right? Okay. No, that's just the Christians. That's just the Christians, Lisa. Uh, yeah, actually, that is true, Kevin. Yeah, Lisa, they're still there to this day. Um, they're called natural mummies. They're not as preserved as say the pharaohs, which they purposely made into mummies. But yeah, the Egyptians buried their dead, and their dead became natural mummies. So anyway, so then when that farmer died, that farmer with the very good green thumb died, his descendants would pray to him, bring gifts to him for a good harvest, right? And so on and so forth, you know. Um and then um when people came together, when clans would come together, right? They would have different spirits. And then if some of those spirits began answering the prayers of different clans and not just this one clan, right? Then they would have become like a god, right? This is how we think it happened. You know, we can't say for sure, but this is a pretty good guess as to how it happened, right? Um, and then you know, and then the clans would then have gods and hey scapegoat, and then tribes would have gods, and then tribes would get together, and there may be one um great god, like Ahura Mazda, but um they could have other gods too. It was just like the national god, which by the way, the national god of Israel was Yahweh. It wasn't like everybody just worshiped Yahweh, right? I mean, it wasn't like that. They had their gods, their little gods, their household gods, right? But the national god of Israel was Yahweh. But they still had other gods. They still worshipped other gods. So if anybody ever tells you that, in fact, Judaism didn't become monotheistic until Temple Judaism. That is, they didn't become monotheistic until after the exile into Babylon. So if anybody ever tells you that Judaism was always monotheistic, call bullshit on that right away, because they weren't. Ah, that's great, Big Zebra. I didn't even bother. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. Right, exactly. So, anyway, so that's how the spirits of the ancestors would live on. right? Um, and then it would become gods. Now, the at first ancestor worship, the ancestors were not gods; they were just spirits. They were just spirits that hung around. But then, you know, as clans became tribes, right? Then um, you would get gods and so on and so forth, and that's how the gods. That's how the gods uh, came forth from this, right? And then for a very long time, um, the the ancestor worship and polytheism were just it. There was no monotheism. Um, in fact, some say the first monotheistic religion was Judaism, and it may be, but I tend to think the first monotheistic religion was Zoroastrianism, because if you look at Judaism and you look at Zoroastrianism and even Christianity, you'll find parallels between all three of those. So, um, and Zoroastrianism actually still lives on in parts of Iran, I think. It's either Iran or Iraq. I can't remember. But there are Zoroastrians living today. It's just a very small um, religion, but they are also monotheistic. So, yeah. Um, no, they don't scapegoat. Zoroastrians don't hold that the devil is a god. But Zoroastrianism um, was Persian to begin with. Uh, so anyway, so that's basically how religion came about, and it came about because we had this existential crisis of, wait a minute, my dad died, so I'm gonna die, and I don't want to die, so what's gonna happen to me after I die? And that's basically how religion began, right? It began as an answer to an existential crisis, which is, why I named this live stream an answer to an existential crisis. Big Zebra, it's not dualistic in the way that we would call dualistic. You would have to ask a Zoroastrian, to be honest with you, because it's such a small religion that a lot of people, including me, don't really know a whole lot about it. So, uh, yeah, as far as I know, they're monotheistic. Um, but I will say, if you really, really want the answer to that question, you would have to ask a Zoroastrian. Big Zebra Wikipedia is not really a very good source. But, I mean, you can use it as long as it has real sources at the bottom of the page. You know what I mean? But, anyway. Yes, fear of death is a very good tool. It is a very good tool. That's why religions use it. That's exactly why religions use it. I don't know what the devil character name is. Um, this is the name of the god. Sorry if my accent makes it a bit hard to um, understand. Pretty much. Pretty much. And Paula Gia just came out with a video with Kip Davis talking about Christmas. And I think it's part 3 of a response to Lee Strobel. Ay, 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 ay. Why do these Christians keep going to Isaiah 53? We've told them time and time and time again, Isaiah 53, it's not about Jesus, god damn it. Now, Kip holds that we don't really know who Isaiah 53 is talking about. I hold that all you got to do is go to Isaiah 52, and you'll see exactly who Isaiah 53 is talking about. And Isaiah 53 is talking about Israel. Now, that's fine. Kip Davis and I have different opinions on that subject, and that's fine. Now, I will say that Dr. Kip Davis is by Nevermore. That Dr. Kip Davis is more um, knowledgeable on the subject than I am. So it may well be that um, the suffering servant is an individual, but I hold, because of the way it's written, I hold that it is Israel because of Isaiah 52, and it's not talking about um, Jesus in any way, shape, or form. Now, Isaiah 7 isn't talking about Jesus either, because if you go to Isaiah 7, um, and I forget which verse this is, but Isaiah's talking to Ahaz, I believe, and God is saying through Isaiah to Ahaz, don't worry about Ephraim and Syria. And Ahaz says, well, how am I supposed to know you're telling me the truth? And God says, well, pick a sign. And Ahaz says, I'm not going to pick a sign because if I pick a sign, then you're gonna, you know, um, strike me down for putting the Lord my God to a test. And God says, okay, then I'll give you a sign. He says, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son. Now, this is important. Virgin only appears in the Septuagint, which is the Greek um, rendition of the Hebrew Scriptures. And I've talked to Dr. Josh about this, and it's on my channel somewhere. Um, but the Hebrew word is Alma. And hey, Jason, and Alma generally means just young woman, okay? But you really, really know that Isaiah 7 is not talking about Jesus. And this is important because they like to cherry pick, okay? You really know Isaiah 7's not talking about Jesus because later on in that very same chapter, God is saying to Isaiah, before the boy knows to choose the right and reject the wrong, the two lands that you dread will be laid waste. That's important. That would be Samaria, or sometimes it's called Ephraim, and Syria. So God is telling Ahaz, before the boy who is born of a virgin, who's not a virgin in our sense of the word, okay? Before the boy knows to choose the wrong and reject the right, the two lands that you dread, which would be Syria and Samaria, will be laid waste. That happened a long time before Jesus. So, I mean, they've got like everything wrong. Plus, you know, and I was talking to Jill about this, and don't get me started on Jill. No, I don't go into Jill's room, okay? Um, Wild Heart again has them on sometimes, and that's when I talk to Jill. Jesus is Lord. We just call him Jill. He's a fuckwit. But anyway, moving on. Um, I said to Jill, I said, okay, so the Messiah is, supposed to bring in one, peace. Two, he's supposed to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. And three, the whole earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord. Which of those three things happened when Jesus died? None of them, right? And he's like, oh, you've been listening to the rabbis. And I didn't tell him this. I probably should have. I'm like, actually, yeah, I have been listening to the rabbis, but I have eyes to read, I don't need the rabbis for reading. That's what it says in the fucking Bible. It says the Jerusalem temple will be rebuilt. How can he rebuild a temple that is still standing when he's living? Number one. Number two, um, he did not usher in an age of peace. He did not usher in an age of peace. And number three, the whole earth is not filled with the knowledge of the Lord. So tell me again, how can he be Messiah? And and I want you to understand, when the Jewish scriptures are talking about Messiah, they're not talking about one person. When the Jewish scriptures are talking about the Messiah, Yes, they're talking about one person. The Messiah refers to the last Messiah. But Messiah in Jewish scriptures can refer to basically anybody. Can you rephrase that? Yeah, right. Right, scapegoat. He can't be a priest, right? Because a priest can only come from Aaron's line. Only a Levite can be a priest. Jesus supposedly came from Judah. He can't be a priest. Hey, Katerina, how's it going? But yeah, he can't be a priest if he's from the line of Judah. He can't. Only a Levite can be a priest. It's laid out in the Old Testament. What don't you get about this, people? Now, a prophet doesn't have to be from the line of Levi and not all Levites can be priests. Only the line of Aaron can be priests. Says so in the Old Testament. Only a descendant of Aaron can be a priest. That's what the church says, scapegoat. That's what the church says. Hebrews would beg to differ with what, scapegoat? But see, this is now anybody in Israel could be a prophet, right? Anybody. But only a descendant of Aaron can be a priest. That's what the Old Testament says. I don't know why these people don't read their own fucking book. Actually, I do know. You know why they don't read it? Because if they did read it, they wouldn't be a Christian. Guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. Back to differ on what, scapegoat? So anyway, and king, only the line of David can be king. Only someone from the line of David can be king, which automatically rules out priest, by the way. Automatically rules it out. Because, again, David is of the tribe of Judah, not Levi. Okay, I got you, scapegoat. Well, Paul's a dipshit. Paul's a dipshit. And again, Paul's a dipshit. He took a hacksaw to the Jewish faith. I mean, he did. Jews, religious Jews, rightfully hate Paul. Scapegoat, most atheists are atheists because they read that fucking book. And yeah, I agree. I wish it was earlier, but hey, it got free, right? Better late than never. Yeah, but that's why their leaders don't want them reading their book. Because if they did read the Bible, they would not be Christians. Their leaders would lose their cash cow. That's exactly why their leaders don't want them to read the Bible. And that's exactly why. And if you are a Christian listening to this, please, I beg of you, read the Bible. You will see what I am talking about. You will see what scapegoat Iscariot is talking about. And yeah, me and Scapegoat, we're not the only Christians who are former Christians because we read that book. There are a lot of people in our position who were Christians and decided to read that book and became ex-Christians because we read that book. So yeah, if you are a Christian, please read that book. You will see what we are saying. It is amazing that what you believe isn't even in that book, especially in the Old Testament. And you will find that the New Testament just takes the Old Testament and just, oh God. Ay, 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 ay. They butcher the Old Testament. The New Testament absolutely butchers the Tanakh, which is the Jewish term for the Hebrew scriptures. Absolutely butchers the Tanakh because half of the things that the Gospels say is in Tanakh is not in the Tanakh. I guarantee you that. Yeah, it is scapegoat. It is. Exactly, Lisa. Yeah, yeah. I'm talking about reading the whole thing straight through. I'm not talking about cherry picking. I'm not talking about reading recommended passages. I'm talking about reading from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22 throughout. I'm talking about reading from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22. Don't skip anything. Yeah, 80% out of context, and then the other 20% is just fucking made up scapegoat. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. And you want to know why Jews don't believe in Jesus? Because they know the Tanakh. They know it's just a bunch of fucking nonsense. You know? Hey, Sophie. So, yeah, if you're a Christian listening to this, read the Bible. And when I say read the Bible, I don't mean read bits and pieces here and there. I mean read Genesis 1 through Revelation 22. And don't skip anything. That's important. Don't skip anything. And you will see what we are talking about. And after you do that, I don't give a shit if you want to believe in Jesus. I really don't. That's not my goal. My goal is to let you know what's real and what's true. If you want to keep pretending after you read that book, that's fine. As long as you don't shove it down other people's throats, I don't give a shit. I just want you to know I'm not here to tell you to believe in God. I'm not here to tell you not to believe in God. I really don't care. I really don't. As long as you're not shoving it down my throat, as long as you're not shoving it down other people's throats, I don't care. Read your book for yourself without your God glasses on, and you will see what we're talking about. Alrighty. Well, I didn't mean to go on that long. Wow. I just meant to hop on and talk about religion and how it's an answer to an existential question, and then got off on Christianity again. But I will say, though, Christianity's probably, at least in the United States, it's destroying people. It is. It's destroying people, and it needs to stop. All right. So, anyway, that's it for today. If you like this kind of content, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below for the algorithm. It really helps. And if you want to become a member, you can become a member for as low as 99 cents a month. And yeah, so you guys have a nice day. And I will see you for Atheist Church. Oh, I did come out with a new John Morris Pendleton video today. It's been available to my members since Sunday. Um, so yeah, but it's available to everyone today. So go check that one out. And I will see you Sunday for Atheist Church. Remember, I'm spending Saturday with my family. So, yeah, no, hey, Pixie, no Saturday live stream, but Sunday's Atheist Church, and I'll see you then. Bye.